I'm working my way through the Idaho 4 Moscow murders document dump that the Moscow PD did. I already kind of looked through the Pullman PD, and there was some cases that they, I think, related to Brian, and it was just the case files for them, but it didn't really seem like a lot, but Moscow's did. I've got a lot of zip files that I'm working my way through, so I thought we'll just go one by one and keep working through. So make sure you like and follow, because I'm trying to post daily if I can, because there's so many that we have to get through. Now, these started off with the officer statements who responded to the 1122 home back on in November of 2022. I've gone through about 6 of them so far and read them to you. Now we're on number 7. So let's get into it. So this report is from John Lawrence. It's a supplemental report, initial response on 11/13/2022 at about 1200 hours. Captain Barrett called me and informed me that there had been multiple victims of a homicide located in a residence on King Road and requested all available detectives. I called Detective Vargas and was informed she was out of town and would be back in Moscow on Monday morning. I called Detective Mowry and he informed me he would be on his way shortly. I called ISP Lieutenant Mike Mooney and he told him I need assistance from ISP detectives in processing the crime scene. Lieutenant Mooney put me in contact with Sergeant Gilbertson. I briefed Sergeant Gilbertson on what I knew, and he told me he would start to assemble his team. I responded to the scene where I met Sergeant Gunderson. Sergeant Gunderson informed me that officers were dispatched to an unconscious person at 1122 King Road, and this was when they found 4 deceased college-age people in the residence. I told Sergeant Gunderson I needed someone from his team to return to the police department to start writing an affidavit for a search warrant. Sergeant Gunderson asked Officer Nunez to handle that task. I then did a very brief walkthrough of the residence. I entered the residence from the entrance on the north side of the building. Officer Warner, who was securing the scene, logged my entrance into the residence. I then went up the stairs and located a deceased female on the floor and a male in the bed in the west bedroom on the second floor. I climbed the stairs to the third floor and located 2 deceased females in the southeast bedroom. They were both in bed. I spoke with Officer Smith, who was securing the residence at the south entrance, for a moment. Then I exited the residence through the north entrance. Officer Warner noted my departure. I told Sergeant Gilbertson and informed him of the additional information provided to me of what I had seen. I told him Moscow PD would be needing their assistance. I also told Sergeant Gilbertson MPD had an officer writing an affidavit for a search warrant. It says I returned to the police department where I met with Sergeant Blaker and Corporal Payne, who I had called earlier and requested they respond to the PD. At this time, Detective Mowry was at the police department. I requested they interview the other occupants of the residence where the deceased were located. There were also several friends of the deceased who had been with the deceased the night before and may have had information of their whereabouts and who they were with prior to the murders. Those interviews started about 13:48 hours. Those to be interviewed arrived at the police department about 13:30 hours. I put them in the training room and provided them with drinks and snacks. Captain Lanier arrived and asked me how he could help. I requested he find officers that were not already tasked and complete a canvass of the neighborhood. Captain Lanier took care of the neighborhood canvassing. At about 14:23 hours, Xana arrived at the PD. He was informed of Xana's death by Captain Dollinger. Captain Barrett informed me Ethan Chapin's family had been notified of Ethan's death. Captain Barrett asked me to take care of the death notifications for Maddie Mogan and Kaylee Goncalves. Captain Barrett provided me with the information the university had on file for Mogan and Goncalves. There was no emergency contact information for either, so I called Kootenai County dispatch due to Mogan and Goncalves' home addresses being in Kootenai County. I don't think I'm saying this right. I provided blank the KCSO dispatcher of the addresses listed with the university for Madison Mogan and Kaylee Goncalves. Blank told me she had the names of blank and blank Goncalves. So that looks like Steve and Christy Goncalves, listed as residents of the address provided for Kaylee Goncalves. I requested a death notification for them. I was contacted by Deputy Mitch Jan from KCSO. He asked what he could tell the parents, and I informed him we knew very little at this time. A short time later, Deputy Jan called me and told me that that when he arrived to give the notification, the parents were already aware. I also provided Madison Mogen's address, and blank was not able to locate anyone with the name Mogen at that address. Blank said he would send a Coeur d'Alene PD officer by the residence to make contact. A short time later, Officer Matt Sickis requested I call him. When I made contact with Officer Sickis, he told me blank and blank of Madison Mogen were driving to Moscow. About 20 minutes after my conversation with Officer Sickis, the blank arrived at the PD. Captain Barrett gave the death notification. Captain Barrett requested I interview them. I spoke with blank and blank in the lobby interview room. They told me they had a great relationship with Madison. She got along with everyone. She had a strong relationship with her boyfriend, Jake, who lives in Boise and had been dating for about a year and a half. And Jake is from blank. I asked if there were any problems with past boyfriends, and there were none to their knowledge. I asked if Madison had mentioned any stalker behavior from anyone or anyone that made her uncomfortable, and they said she never spoke of anything. The rest of my shift was spent allocating resources where they were needed. Now this is number 8, John Rosinski. On 11/13/2022, I received a phone call advising me there was a quadruple homicide at 1122 King Road. I arrived to the Moscow PD, where I put on my police-issued uniform and relieved Officer Warner at the above address, who was currently holding scene security and maintaining a log of who came in and out of the apartment at the front door, which is on the north side of the apartment. I was on scene for about 2 hours until I relieved Officer Morris, who took over my duties. The following day, on 11/14/2022, I learned that a sheath was found inside the apartment. The sheath was tan in color and had a Marine Corps eagle, globe, and anchor EGA symbol on the sheath. The words USMC were located under the EGA, and K-bar was above the EGA. I was tasked to follow up with businesses in town to see if that particular knife was sold there. I followed up with Tri-State Outfitters, Big Five Sporting Goods, Moscow Building Supplies, Spence Hardware, and Walmart. Each of the above stores does not sell a K-bar brand knife. While at Walmart, I was speaking with a staff member, blank, name listed on name tag, who was showing me the knives on display. She told me about 2 or 3 weeks ago, a white college-age male asked for a black ski mask that would cover his face. Blank was unable to provide much detail other than he was taller than she was and maybe had tan skin complexion. Well, we know Brian's really white, except that day in court, but we'll see. Blank said she advised the male they did not have any black ski masks and only camo. Blank said the male then walked away. On 11/14/2022, at about 11:45 hours, I spoke with blank at the Memorial Gym. Substation. Blank is currently the blank for the fraternity blank. I asked blank if he could walk me through what he did the night of 11/12/2022 and early morning of 11/13/2022. Blank said about 18:30 on 11/12/2022 he was at a party. Blank said the party was at the Treehouse, which is an off-site campus house for the sorority. Did not know the specific address, but said the house is near the Whites' apartment. So the Whites is where Emily lives. Emily was best friends to Xana and Hunter Johnson's girlfriend. Blank said the party he saw Ethan, obviously. Oh, no, it's Emily on the lawn or whatever, who was with Emily's boyfriend, unknown name, maybe Hunter. Blank said was only the only member that he recognized at the party. He said he left at 2200 or 2300 hours. Said he went back to and watched a movie with blank. Said he went to the Corner Club about 0149 hours at 11/13/2022 to pick up blank. Jack Decor and blank. Said they were alone and not with anyone. Said he dropped the 3 above individuals off at their apartment off of King Road. Blank said after he dropped them off, he went back home. So that's the 7 and 8 reports. Make sure you follow along for more to come.